as the extinguished as the creatures coming out to play in the twilight of creation, human faces intelligent and suffering, turned upward entering the trees, the charismatic megafauna, polar bears, moose, and rippling massive flanks to shake loose biting flies, the fox and the vixen, the leopard gazing in his camouflage, breaking the urgent glass, in the underlayer of humus and moss and broken clay, the cryptograms, the earthworms turning, between the wizardly fingers of the forest, managed growth of the second order, the third, steered towards what shoal, a history for the benefit of imaginary extrinsic powers, in the branches snowy owls and ravens of the rock pigeons we call pigeons that can't perch in the trees, that swarm cities like flying rats. They are hungry, iridescent at the neck of the rat themselves, shining like a collar at the base of a public sculpture monument to the fundamental flight through the corridors of power, mathematics, heat, death rippling like the invisible rave down the state street paralleling Michigan, pushed by the relentless constellations of the L, cutting longitudes across the lake itself.
Of water, meeting the migrations of alien carp and cosmic rays, diving deep for the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, or swimming invisible lines, boundaries, policed by radar from Canada, a massive air launched by minute variations in temperature, push and pull over heat, islands, carbon dioxide absorption, ozone exhaustion, invisible and intervening, like a god, that which manifests through its actions on substance, not itself substance, weak forces, atmospheres, unnamed, unmet animal species, gone, extinct, whole geniuses, phyla, unknowable kingdoms and principalities, coral reefs burned back like the crouched and burdened angels, muscular skeletons of our vacancy, as in an etching by Blake, horizontal the spiritual body, diving like a hyphen, the upper from the lower, fantic messenger of betweenness, inhuman round eyes fixed on nothing, on suffering, folly, sporting events on Gaza, wings outstretched to bandage the eyes of heaven, our eyes.
As they would bandage the wound of a headless child, or conceal the strength of a people from their weaknesses, the mortals masquerading as their own fates, individuals slashed open by solitude, acts of mourning and revenge, writing themselves into text of righteousness. The messengers reveal nothing, like animals marching slowly towards me now, 2 by 2. Tongues rolling, eyes lit from within, hollow and sparkling, as a cave concealed from light for 30,000 years, but concealed no longer. Grace I have none, but what can be inferred by arms opening, palms, head tilting back, to catch rain in my jaws. What is born now by wrests its way out of the internal feminine, the body my only warrant, against monuments my pledge to the immaculate moment. What is born is not of me, or the we, or of God, or animals. It is a wing, it is bleeding, it masks my eyes under the thunder comes to open the openness over all. Okay, good. Okay, so we use Soapstone to analyze Animals by Joshua Corey. The speaker is someone, maybe Joshua, we don't know, who is deeply disturbed by how humans have impacted the environment and nature. The occasion, he's observing society and how society has affected the human population's respect for the natural world, while also critiquing how humans are insanely destructive. the audience is kind of the human population, all of mankind, and how they're like really bad to nature. The purpose is to point out the human society's flaw that has caused detrimental repercussions, while also encouraging people to realize that their actions have negative consequences pertaining to the environment. The subject is environmental degradation. He talks about things like global warming, extinction of animal populations, coral reefs dying, that can never be fixed, that they're always going to stay in the way they are now. And then he kind of talks about how history has repeated itself, and how God has already destroyed the earth one time and now humans are destroying it. So Corey uses a serious, critical, and disappointed tone to express how he's really upset with mankind. He vividly describes mass destruction and death in nature. He's really emotional because he's deeply disappointed, so you can tell that he's really upset and he feels really deeply about the topic. And to go into some like syntactical issues, I guess, the entire poem is almost one sentence. It's builds suspense that way, but then he also uses sentence fragments for full sentences. So at the beginning of the poem it says "as the distinguished," and then there's a period right after that, so that's not really like a full sentence, it's another fragment. And then he says "the fox and the vixen," period, so that's the other fragment. And then it starts with "the leopard," and it goes all the way down, and then if we go on the back it stops to "the text of the righteousness." So that's whole thing is a one full sentence. And then he uses visual imagery throughout and similes to further develop clear images with the audience. So some of the imagery we pointed out at the very beginning, he says the charismatic megafauna, polar bears, moose, rippling massive flanks to shake loose, biting flies. He talks about, we can go down here, when he says the branches, snowy owls and ravens, or the rock pigeons we call pigeons, that can't perch in the trees, that swarm cities like the flying rats they are, hungry, iridescent at the neck, like rats themselves, shining like a collar. So there's two similes right there back to back. And then down here there's another simile, coral reefs burned black like the crouched and burdened angels. So there's a lot of visual imagery and a lot of use of similes. And then finally he uses a lot of scientific sounding diction. Right here he says carbon dioxide, ozone exhaustion, atmospheres, unnamed, unmet animal species, genus, phyla, kingdoms, principalities, megafauna. So he obviously has some sort of background or knowledge about or pertaining with science, and he just uses diction to show that.